Hello and welcome to an album a day, day 70, going through my vinyl collection. Today, we're talking about a band we've talked about a couple times. We'll talk about a lot more because I own quite a number of their vinyls, but not the entire collection. A lot of them, especially through like the late 70s through the 80s into the 90s period, they're all out of print and rather expensive. So those are kind of on my bucket list. But I do have quite a few of their vinyls, and honestly, I think there was one or two that might not have been released. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, interesting one here. We have a fantastic album from Uriah Heep, Living the Dream. Absolutely love this album cover. I have to get this on a tapestry one day for if I can ever buy a fucking house. But it's I'll show you the vinyl first because it's beautifully done. This is the black vinyl. They do have several. Really love the logo on that too. Looks really good. This is from Frontier, and there are 5 different types. So 4 of the 5 were pressed in Italy, in Italy. The only one that was pressed in Europe was the white edition. So it's just a plain white vinyl. There's a blue vinyl, a marble, which is really beautiful, a crystal, which is a crystal clear vinyl, and then of course this black vinyl were all pressed in Italy. So no US pressings on that, which is kind of cool. I don't know why I think that's cool, but it is. But they're a European band. They have a much bigger European fan base than they do a US fan base, although I hope I made an impact on that with Uriah Heep, the Magicians podcast. I covered every single song the band ever recorded, and there's an individual episode for each song, all done one album at a time, one song at a time. You can go to my website, scotthaskin.com, and you can actually stream every episode right from there, or you can go to whatever your go-to podcast player is, whether it's Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, any of them basically, and Spotify. I think it's on Spotify. You should be able to get Uriah Heep, the Magicians podcast. So really cool 299 episodes of that show, including interviews with the band, which was awesome, and some guests on some of the episodes, which was really nice. But let's take a look at this album. So here we have the beautiful artwork on the front cover. Absolutely love this. I think it's one of their best album covers, at least for me. And on the back, just beautifully laid out. Look at how thick this side is. I mean, that's like compared to my finger, that's pretty damn thick. My fingers are not amazingly small, by the way. They're not fat, but they're not amazingly small. And then it's a gatefold. So on the inside, we have lyrics. We have this lovely band picture in the same color scheme as the front cover. But I just love how thick this is, considering there's no booklet or anything that would require it be that thick. I like that they really went for a heavy album cover. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the sleeve is generic. But the vinyl itself, I think, yeah, this is 180 gram vinyl, definitely. But it's really cool. It's a great album. I mean, talking about some of the tracks, Grazed by Heaven, the one that kicks it off, is just a beautiful song. Living the Dream, really powerful, really uplifting track. Take Away My Soul, Knocking at My Door, Water's Flowing. That's all just side one. And it was, for the most part, it was Mick Box and Phil Lanzon that wrote the album, but side one has Grazed by Heaven, that's Rimmer and Soto. Then on the back, you've got Rocks in the Road, which is a great, just killer song to start off side 2. It's All Been Said, Goodbye to Innocence, which was Mick Box, Phil Lanzon, and Bernie Shaw. Falling Under Your Spell would be a good album ender if we didn't have a better album ender, Dreams of Yesteryear. And so all the songs on side 2 were written by Mick and Phil, except for Goodbye to Innocence, that Bernie Shaw also worked on. And produced and engineered by Jay Rustin. Really knows how to get Uriah Heep a great sound. Worked with them on Chaos and Color as well. But Dreams of Yesteryear is it's an amazing song. I used it for the closer of the Magicians podcast, and it was just a perfect ending. Like emotionally, the guitar playing is just really hits you. And then the chorus is so powerful. It's just an amazing and beautiful song. One of my favorite Uriah Heep songs of all time, I have to say. Really good stuff. So some people ask me why I put the vinyls in separate sleeves if I'm going to put them in the same slipcover. And the reason is, for those of you who haven't listened to every episode, because I think I've talked about this before, if you keep it inside the jacket, it's eventually going to wear out the bottom. It's going to give the whole thing more shelf wear, and it's going to start to cause a ring around the vinyl if it's on the inside, pressed against the other vinyl. So with it on the back, it doesn't have both sides caving in at the top and the bottom and the sides. So it helps keep the covers pristine. The vinyls are very well protected anyway, so they're fine. It just sits beautifully on my shelf. So there it is, Uriah Heep, living the dream. We'll see. Oh, no, that's not enough. I got to do more. So along with that, I bought the CD because actually I had the CD first. After I saw Uriah Heep the first time in Las Vegas, this album hadn't quite come out yet. It was announced it was coming out in a couple of months. And so when it came out, I got the CD. Of course, very representative of the same sticker on the vinyl. But it also comes with this DVD, which is a making of the Living the Dream documentary. Really, really cool to see the inside of the process. And then on the inside of that, we have this wonderful little booklet that, interestingly, we don't get with the album, but we have the lyrics on the on the inside and on the back. So there's that. But very beautifully done with some nice artwork. I won't show you the whole thing, but I will say I just love that color scheme. If I ever get a house, I really kind of want to paint my house in those colors. I think that would be just amazing for the living room to look like that. And then just this little thing from the record company about their other artists, and then of course the back where the book goes. But really nice documentary. I really enjoyed it. It's something that some of those bands started doing, like Purple started doing that. Interviews with Bob Ezrin and Roger Glover and all that. It's really cool to see some of the behind the scenes of how this stuff comes together. I wish we had more of this stuff from like the 60s and the 70s. And, like for all of you guys who've enjoyed the documentary on the Beatles that came out not too long ago and got to see a lot of footage from them inside the studio, working on songs, Ringo trying to work out Octopus's Garden with George Harrison, stuff like that. Like I love seeing how some of these things were created. So all we can do is enjoy what we have available to us. But bands, I highly recommend you keep doing things like that. Document what you're doing. Show us how you did it. It's going to help generations going forward. And for those of us that are big fans of you, we're just going to eat it up anyway. So anyway, once again, living the dream. See you guys tomorrow. Cheers.